So funding alternatives. If the SoonerStart team is unable to locate funding through other resources, SoonerStart resources can be brought into action as a last resort. Of course, you want to exhaust all your other resources before you even attempt to try to include SoonerStart resources. The SoonerStart team must submit the SoonerStart assistive technology request and follow through with submitting to the appropriate people. If the equipment is funded through SoonerStart, the equipment must remain the property of SoonerStart. Assistive technology for transitions, this kind of leads us right into that. For a child transitioning into the school system with an IFSP, the team would have previously considered the AT needs of a child as required for him and her to benefit from daily routines in their natural environments or to achieve outcomes on the IFSP. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act explains that 90 days before the child turns 3, the team members working with that child and his or her family are required to meet with the LEA to discuss the upcoming transitions. Here, I find this would be a really good time to discuss what AT you've used, what works, what doesn't work. And here I just listed the IDEA where it discusses that it's a requirement to have this meeting and by when. During the transition conference, reconsider the child's need for AT and discuss what devices and service may benefit the child as she or he might be transitioning to a new environment where activities and routines are different. There are many pieces of AT that children may need between the ages of birth to 3 that would continue to benefit them as they transition at the age of 3. Some examples are speech generating devices. That is a huge one. I find that if it is not well communicated between, SoonerStart and the parent with the school, they seem to redo those processes, and then the child just loses a bunch of developmental time with the assistive technology or speech generating device that they know and that works for them. So it's really huge to get it documented in there in your IFSP. So iPads with communication apps, Toby, Accent, GoTalk, PEX, Big Mac, anywhere from seating, from a headrest to a carpet square, to a fidget toy, time timer, any of those things, those small things that we might not think of, should be documented in the IFSP. If AT was used with a child and is currently being used, it should be documented under each outcome strategy method box in which AT is used. In the outcomes section, you will have several different outcome sections. I just picked the one with speech. And so you have the date outcome written, the type of outcome statements, and then the strategies and methods where this orange arrow is where you will document what is working and what has not. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what to document in that section and that strategies method. And you might have several different pieces of AT to document in your outcomes, and you just need to put them in the appropriate boxes. So speech or daily living or behaviors, whatever it pertains to. So some examples of steps and activities. Ben has successfully been using PEX books to communicate with his family and caregivers. The LEA has been notified that Paula uses social stories when transitioning from one activity to another. Ben successfully sits for circle time using a rocker chair for 10 minutes. The LEA has been notified that Paula uses a pediatric walker for functional mobility. So these are just some examples. They don't have to be elaborate, but let's document what they're using so the next person that inherits this child knows what assistive technology they need. If it is determined that AT used in early intervention transitions with the child, the entities involved may sign an agreement for the purchase or sale or statement declining the sale of AT devices. The Oklahoma State Department of Education provides a mechanism for school districts, public agencies, and/or parents to transfer AT either through sale or transfer. The agreement can be found within the OSDE Technical Assistant document, Assistive Technology for Children and Youth with Disabilities. All right, so I have put in this PowerPoint where these are located. So I'm going to copy it since I can't go in. So our TA doc is in Community Services, SoonerStart Collaborations. And then over here to the right is your direct link to the ATTA doc online, Part C. So if you pull that up and then you go over here to the right and you click on the down arrow, there's the appendix. Appendix D is where these are located. So right here in the table of contents, SoonerStart AT acquisition process, purchase sale agreement form, and then the sample depreciation spreadsheet. So I'm going to share the purchase sale agreement form. And it's super tiny on here. Let me see if I can blow it up. So here's your agreement for the purchase sale or statement declining the sale of AT devices by Oklahoma. And it goes through and tells you what it's about and how to transfer and the sales of it. Sandra, can you chime in and kind of give them a little bit more about this statement of purpose agreement? I've never had to sign one or be involved.
Sure. So where this form comes from, and I will tell you there's a caveat from the State Department of Education that this form has never been used to date, but that does not mean that it should not be used. This is basically the opportunity for you SoonerStart folks. If you have a kiddo at 6 months, that you get them some kind of adaptive chair, seating, communication system, whatever, and they have utilized this throughout their time in SoonerStart, then when they are transitioning to the public school realm at age 3 to a pre-K program or 3-year-old program, SoonerStart has the option and really kind of the obligation to offer purchase of that piece of equipment that that student has been or that child has been using to the public school system. And so what this form basically does is it kind of covers the SoonerStart side of, we are offering this particular piece of assistive technology to be purchased by the public school system at a reduced price because it's not brand new. And it really comes with the fact that it's what the student knows and the family knows, and then it carries over into that next environment. So when this is presented to the public school realm, they have the two choices, which you can see on Amy's screen. The first one is, yes, we're going to purchase this at the reduced price, which we have the formula for that. Or we are going to decline this, and then you'll note that it says if they decline this, then they have to basically document, but here's how we're going to support that AT need. So it's really that transition piece of this is what we used while they were being served by SoonerStart, and the public school saying, well, that's great, and we either want to use that or we're going to use our own. And even if it's the same item that they're going to purchase, it's there. I know with SoonerStart, there's kind of this overarching umbrella that if we have them purchase it, you know, say that it's a new Kiba chair, which are kind of becoming a hot commodity. If the child has used this Kiba chair and they continue to need it and you send it to the school, then SoonerStart doesn't have the Kiba chair any longer. Well, that's where SoonerStart and AbleTech's collaboration comes. Or is that something that AbleTech can provide, or is that something that SoonerStart has the funds to replace in the SoonerStart pocket of materials? So, like I said, I've been told from State Department of Education that this form has not really been used due to fear of that purchase transfer, but in an ideal world, then this is what would happen, and it would happen for the sake that SoonerStart, you guys would get first dibs at starting the kid off with the new equipment. The kid and the family become familiar with that. That then goes to the public school. The family can then help transition that because of their familiarity, and then SoonerStart gets to start over with the new kid and those individual needs.
Thanks, Sandra.
Sandra and Amy, I was just going to point out that this would be another way for SoonerStart to keep their inventory current. You know, if you're purchasing devices that a child has used. Like, as you said, Sandra, it's not new anymore. Especially if it's got kind of a high-tech component, these devices are getting updated rather frequently. And so if SoonerStart is always keeping ownership of the things that they purchased, then their inventory is getting older and older. So, if they were to start transferring ownership to schools, it would help with keeping inventory a little bit more updated over time.
And this is also, although I think Amy said, so if SoonerStart, the last resort of purchase is something for a child, it technically stays with SoonerStart. However, sometimes you guys are able to get things for kids that are very kid specific, and it's better to try to sell that item to be able to either get something different for another child that's kid specific than have something that won't be utilized by someone else.
It's just going to sit in the closet.
Right.
Sandra and Amy, you might know this too. Are there any cases where the assistive technology would not be considered necessary for the FAPE, for the free and appropriate public education, and would then fall under the responsibility of the family to purchase? Or or in most cases, is this going to be something that the schools would be needing to purchase?
That's a good question, Kimberly. I would say for the majority of cases that FAPE would cover what's being provided by SoonerStart, especially in a pre-K program, 3-year-old, 4-year-old program. I think I'm just trying to think off the top of my head if I can come up with anything that would not be covered under FAPE. I think something like adaptive trikes, but I'm not SoonerStart. They're not medically necessary. So it goes under that. I mean, it's kind of a slippery slope to be on a little bit, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would be covered by SoonerStart, but would not be covered by Part B IDEA and FAPE.
I agree. That's a hard one to answer. Mm-hmm. Typically, everything that they use has been justified.
Right, for the development and for the education, and so that kind of continues.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
And here's a sample of the depreciation spreadsheet. It kind of just gives you a formula of how to see how much value that assistive technology piece is. Let's see if I can get it to blow up. Here we go. It's kind of blurry on my end. I don't know if it is for you guys.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It's not 100% clear, but it's readable.
Readable. Okay, good. So you have the list of devices, the estimated useful life, the device age, how old it is, the estimating remaining life, which is sometimes kind of tricky because things, in the AT world just populate quickly and new things come out quickly. So that's sometimes a little bit of research to find out the original price, and then the depreciation, and then the current value. And then it kind of goes down here and gives you an example and illustrates how that model was, the current value is found. So that gives you just a really good go-to of how to formulate this current value of the depreciated items. And it gives us several. I think those were the last two documents. And I just wanted to remind everyone to remember to record your demos if it's the first time you're showing a piece of AT to a family or child, in order to decide if it helps the child meet a need. And then submit your demonstrations at AbleTech to be in your running for your $500 AT quarter reward. You can always fax it in, you can email it to me, or you can call if you have any questions about your demos. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to end this session, and please feel free to reach out to me anytime.
You can reach her at the office at 405-744-7734. Amy's email address is amy.l.woods@okstate.edu.